And welcome into Stars of the Ice here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Martin Kilcoyne, Charlie Marlowe. We're from KTVI Television, the Fox affiliate in St. Louis here at the Enterprise Center. We welcome all of our viewers that are part of the Nexstar family around the country, getting set for a great weekend of hockey in St. Louis. And Charlie, this city's been known to wait. Had to wait forever for a Stanley Cup. Got that last summer, and it's been a long wait for the All-Star Game returning here to St. Louis.
Yeah, 32 years go back, 1988, and when you're asking all of the former players and the people around All-Star Weekend about that game, everybody, of course, bringing up Super Mario Lemieux with the game winner in overtime and a 6-point game, 3 goals, 3 assists. He stole the show. We'll see who does the same this time around.
Decades ago, it was a building ago that was the old arena. At one time, it was the Checker Dome. Now we're here in the Enterprise Center, which was the Savage Center, the Kiel Center, but it's been refurbished. A lot of things go in the way of the Blues franchise. Let's look at some of the numbers. 65th All-Star Game for the NHL. And of fun notes here, Gordie Howe played in 23 of these. Wayne Gretzky, no surprise, has the most points with 25. In fact, Gordie Howe's last All-Star game was in 1980. It was also the first All-Star game for Wayne Gretzky. St. Louis has hosted twice before. 1988, as Charlie mentioned, and also back in 1970 when the franchise was really young here in St. Louis. And we love to look at the first when it comes to an All-Star game. And for the Blues head coach, Craig Berube, 17 years in the league. This is his first time as an All-Star. He'll be coaching the Central Division.
I don't think I ever dreamed about an All-Star game, but I mean, I don't know. When I became a coach, you're just trying to get in there and get established, and and then again, I've only been a head coach in the NHL for 2 years before I took over here. So again, I was trying to just get my way in there and bring my style and bring my philosophies in here, and it worked out, and we won a cup, so and now this year it's going good again, so knock on wood, everything's going well, we just got to keep going.
And interesting to note some of the huge names that have coached the Blues over the years. Al Arbour, Scotty Bowman, Ken Hitchcock, Joel Quenneville. It's Chief Craig Berube from Calahoo, Alberta, breaks through and wins the Stanley Cup. He also has the highest winning percentage of any of those Blues head coaches of all time. You'll hear a lot of ovations this weekend for the coach they simply know as Chief. And when we talk about first, this is sort of a unique storyline here. It goes beyond St. Louis, but the story for the Tkachuk boys begins here.
Yeah, I think this is the coolest story of All-Star Weekend, even if it wasn't in St. Louis, but the fact that it is where they grew up, and here at Enterprise Center where they watched their dad, of course, Keith Tkachuk, we call him Big Walt, play for the Blues for so many years. Both sons in the NHL, both making their first All-Star game this year. You have Matthew, 22 years old, star for the Calgary Flames, and then Brady, he's just 20. He was in the Bahamas this week because he wasn't going to be an All-Star. So he's hanging out on his break, and he gets the phone call, how would you like to be an All-Star?
I got to tell you,
your hometown.
The Bahamas in February, January, you're going, boy, I guess you got to say yes, of course.
And the fact that you talk with all these Blues players and the Chris Prongers, the former players, they all remember these guys, Matthew and Brady, when they were 5, 6, 7 years old with Big Walt in the locker room as little kids, and here they are about to be in their first NHL All-Star game this weekend.
I called him right when I found out, right after Christmas. We were playing in Edmonton. Just sent him a text right away, said, "You available for a quick call?" He goes, "Yeah." Told him, and there was just that. I think he had a feeling that it was coming, but it's still, once you hear the news, it's so special. And yesterday we were at the house, and somebody called my dad and said, "What's Brady up to?" Like, Brady got selected to play. Is he okay to play? Is he wanting to play? Where is he? My dad goes, "He's in Bahamas right now. I'll give him a quick call." And yeah, I think Brady was having some fun down there. I didn't get back to him for a few hours, and then obviously accepted it and hopped on the next flight, I think, and got here in time.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal to get that call. I was in Bahamas yesterday, and so it's a little bit different weather, but I'm so happy to be home. It's just kind of surreal being here. Honestly, I don't think we've ever talked about this. It's just crazy how it's worked out, and I think Matthew and I are just going into it, just have as much fun as we can, and being here, and being able to go home and see a bunch of friends and family, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's pretty cool how it kind of almost comes full circle. It's been a blast so far getting to know some of the guys, and I'm just looking forward to taking it all in every day and every second of this trip.
It's kind of like that perfect story. It's somewhere where it was my childhood, basically, this rink, and for myself and for Brady to be here, for our family to be here, for all our friends coming here that are within the St. Louis area, they're all coming to it, and from what I've been told, me and Brady are competing against each other in the skills competition in one of the events tomorrow. So I think all of it, it's a story. It's such a great story, and like I said, it was our childhood, and going there. My dad letting us skip a few days of school when we were younger to go to the rink and skate before practice, and to run around the locker room, see all the gum, probably drive the trainers crazy. We're still going to see the same guys tomorrow, and even just back there seeing some of the security guys who I knew at such a young age. It's a great story, and we're really going to take advantage of this weekend because even though I'm 22, just turned, and Brady just turned 20 a little bit ago, we're never going to have the option, most likely, to have the All-Star game in St. Louis again. So you might as well take advantage of it.
So Matthew Tkachuk, 22 years old, Brady Tkachuk, 20 years old, first All-Star game appearances, and this is how you know they're still just kids. Yesterday at the Fan Fair, you have the fans participating in the hardest slap shot. Matthew and Brady in street clothes waited in line with all the fans to also go up there and have the hardest slap shot. I'm guessing they beat the fans. I'm guessing they won that event.
And I love the fact that Matthew says, he talks about coming to this rink, this very building with his dad, and you mentioned it when they're like 4 and 5 years old, being around Al McInnes and being around Chris Pronger. And Matthew said, I want to thank my dad for letting me skip school a bunch of times just to hang. I think it's paid off for the Tkachuk family. We're talking about 2 picks, same family, and there have been a lot of brothers in the league, families, the Sutter brothers at 6, I believe, at least, brothers that played in the league. But the fact that they were both in the top 10, and now here they are early in their careers making it to an All-Star game.
And feisty players, and they were always this way. We're talking with Chris Pronger yesterday, and he said he remembered them when they were little. Walt would just let them fight, wrestle, scrap in the locker room, and let them just kind of get all their energy out there, and they're still playing like that now in the NHL.
Yeah, and some of the national media talking to Matthew Tkachuk, he's been getting into it with Edmonton. They said it's the Battle of Alberta, and now you guys are out here on the same ice together. And Matthew said, let's put all of that on hold. Let's just kind of enjoy the All-Star weekend, but not afraid to kind of stir it up a little bit. We've seen that, the feisty side.
Right. Another good brother nugget is the fact, because Matthew was announced as an All-Star, so he paid for the suite for the whole family.
Okay.
And then now Brady's announced, and Matthew calls him up and says, hey, you want to split this suite, of course. Doesn't want to pay for the whole thing now that his brother's also an All-Star.
I got to tell you, these kids, not only they have the money, because not only are they getting paid well, they live with mom and dad here in St. Louis, and beyond that, for years, Keith Tkachuk and his family have always taken in a younger Blues player, let them live in their basement. I'm going to guess this looks a little nicer than our basement, but over the years, David Backes, the Blues captain later, lived in that basement. Right now, Robert Thomas, the young forward from Ontario, rising star, he lives in the Tkachuk basement. So these kids have been living for free, okay, so they can afford the suite. You're watching Stars of the Ice right here from St. Louis, Missouri. We're live at the Enterprise Center. Martin Kilcoyne along with Charlie Marlowe, KTVI Television out of St. Louis. We welcome all of our viewers on the Nexstar family out there getting ready for a great hockey weekend. Skills competition tonight, and then the game itself on Saturday night. And I'm sure Doc Emmerich on NBC, they're going to have a lot of these same storylines about the St. Louis connection, and that includes TJ Oshie, who was hugely popular here, traded to Washington, wins a cup with the Capitals, married to a St. Louis girl, makes his first All-Star game, and it happens to be right here.
It's pretty surreal, and I think it's a pretty special feeling, to come back to a place where I haven't played in a while. I've won a cup in another city. They've won a cup with a different team. Plenty of chances to get new jerseys. It's pretty surreal, and plenty of chances to get new jerseys, and there's still a lot of 74 Oshie jerseys out there. So I think it goes to show you the loyalty of the fans here. I put in a lot of work to try to win a cup here, and I feel like they respected that. They respected my work ethic, and I respect their support through thick and thin. You know, I got in a little trouble here when I was younger, and no one turned their back on me. They've always been so great to me, and I think that's why it makes it so special to be back here in St. Louis and playing my first All-Star game here.
65th All-Star game, but the first for TJ Oshie. Again, there'll be cheers, and as he pointed out, still a lot of 74 jerseys around town, 77 now with the Washington Capitals. And I don't know if he's going to be on that perch there. We got the shooting stars tonight where players are actually going to be firing from above the stands. It's actually a nice little twist here tonight. And Oshie, again, pretty skilled goal scorer.
And for fans, especially in St. Louis, going back 12 years, we had what was called the Kid Line. It was TJ Oshie, David Perron, Patrick Berglund. Patrick Berglund traded away last year to the Buffalo Sabres. But pretty cool that Perron and Oshie, and Perron back with the Blues for the third time, TJ Oshie with the Capitals, but now making their first All-Star games together. And we remember when Perron was a teenager, all those guys, Oshie was in his early 20s, and now here they are for David Perron in year 13. They're in their 30s. They're veteran players. But as you said, you still see the 74 jerseys, and I think that was just a very cool and interesting time for the Blues, growing with those kids. The slogan was, "Come grow with us." TJ Oshie, David Perron, Patrick Berglund, the Kid Line, and two of them are now All-Stars 12 years later.
And David Perron, his first All-Star game, but his third time with the Blues because he's left twice. He said when he got the call that he was making the All-Star game, he was part of the fan vote, one of the last ones in. St. Louis motivated to get him in this game along with his teammates, Binnington, Pietrangelo, O'Reilly. He said when Doug Armstrong, the Blues GM, called him, he thought he'd been traded again. He said that was his first instinct. One more Oshie thought. He's 33. He still looks like a young kid. And I go back to Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk, who was the older player when the kids were coming along. And Oshie always had those bright red cheeks, and Walt just called him Furnace Face. In my life, I've heard a lot of nicknames. I've never heard anybody called Furnace Face before. That's a first.
And TJ Oshie, we were asking him about the good old days yesterday, and he basically said, talking about the Kid Line, you had Andy Murray as the coach back then, and so you have Oshie, Berglund, Perron, the young kids, a bunch of veterans. And he said that Andy Murray, he basically loved to stop the drills. He was almost waiting for those guys to make a mistake so he could kind of call out the kids in practice in front of all the veterans.
All right, well, since we mentioned kids, there's a lot of family elements when the All-Star game rolls into your town. Tampa, you had it last year. The fanfare, really essentially a huge fan fest for families. You can see the Stanley Cup for folks in St. Louis. That was a huge thing until last summer when it actually came for the right reasons. A number of events going on over there, and Patrick Clark from KTVI out of St. Louis takes us on a tour.
This is not the first All-Star weekend the city of St. Louis has seen. In 1970 and again in 1988, the old St. Louis Arena was home to the NHL All-Star activities and, of course, the big All-Star game. But this third time's a charm, and Union Station seems a choice spot to expand on fan opportunities for all.
Just kind of the capstone on winning the Cup, to have the perfect timing of having the All-Star game here right after, as the Blues are the defending champions. It's just fantastic. I mean, timing couldn't have been better.
See the Cup, hang out, see other fans, just see all the memorabilia all around, all the old uniforms and sweaters and trophies. It's just a fun time.
From the iconic Stanley Cup and trophy displays to mascots and current and former players, Union Station will be a hockey haven for fans of the sport.
We're here to have a great time. Hopefully see the Cup, to get some autographs. We have been season ticket holders for 21 years. So this is awesome.
Beautiful. The environment.
Another element coming up on Saturday during the game, added star power. And kudos to the league. The game doesn't matter. It's not going to look like normal hockey. You're going to have ridiculous score totals. The goalies, Jordan Binnington's joked about it. You know, it's always tough on the goalies. But to add some fun on the benches for the different divisions, Brett Hull's going to be on a bench, Wayne Gretzky, John Hamm, Jenna Fisher, St. Louis natives that are well-known actors, actresses. But the great one, Wayne Gretzky, married Janet Jones, the actress years ago. So she's from St. Louis. So he's in town all the time, has a house here. Brett Hull, former Blue. And it's not just a St. Louis storyline here. It's amazing how many great hockey names, Al McInnes, Chris Pronger, Hall of Famers, Bernie Federko, live here. And you go to the rink, if you're a Blues fan, you could be getting a beer and say, "Oh my God, is that Wayne Gretzky in line? Why is he in line?" It's amazing to think of these names, the star power that are around, and you'll see them a lot this weekend too.
Yeah, even for the media sometimes. Now, Wayne's not here all the time, but every once in a while you'll cover a skate or a practice, and you just look up in the stands with the Blues brass and the executives and some of the media, and, oh, there's the greatest hockey player of all time. And he played with the Blues for, 20 games, whatever it was.
Yes.
But it's interesting how he's still remembered as a Blue, and every time there's a big event, whether it's the Stanley Cup Final, whether it's the All-Star Game, he's always back here. And not just a great ambassador for the Blues, but for all of hockey. I mean, you can't ask for a better ambassador for your greatest player of all time, who's always giving back to the game.
And interesting comments from Wayne Gretzky, even on Friday, telling NHL.com, he thinks that Alexander Ovechkin will pass his goal-scoring record. It's going to take a couple more years. Ovi is about 200 goals away, but Wayne says, I believe it will happen. And we have a mutual friend here, Darren Pang, who's a Blues announcer who's really good friends with Wayne Gretzky, and he told me this week, Wayne wants it to happen, thinks it'll be good for the league. The rest of us are petty, and we're thinking, Gretzky's got to have the goal-scoring record, but he says no, it'll be great if Ovechkin breaks the record.
And the fact that Wayne Gretzky, doesn't he have basically every single other record in all of hockey? So Alex Ovechkin can have this one, maybe.
All right,
Wayne's got the rest of
So
it.
we mentioned all these Hall of Famers that are here in St. Louis. Let's hear from some of those. And we're back here, Stars of the Ice. You're watching KTVI. We're the Fox affiliate in St. Louis, Missouri. Martin Kilcoyne, Charlie Marlowe. We're at the Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. The NHL All-Star Game, the 65th, is here in town. First time, as we mentioned, since 1988. And they've added this nice twist. It's the red carpet arrival with all of the All-Stars walking into the building here. The special treatment. Green Day, I believe, is going to be playing outdoors. It's a little chilly. That's okay. It's January. It's hockey weather. And our Blair Leday is out there, and she's talking to some of the folks that are arriving on that red carpet.
Definitely an exciting weekend here. The rain doesn't seem to be stopping anybody from coming out and getting in on all of this fun. Now step out of the way. Fans are lined up all the way down this walk. They're taking selfies and interacting with their favorite mascots. You guys just missed them going down the red carpet. Louis, he got a lot of love too just a few minutes ago. Some of them were really getting down to the music. Now this is just one of the many events today leading up to the All-Star Game featuring the biggest stars in hockey. In just a few moments, the rock band OAR will hit the stage for the concert. And we have our Bommarito Automotive Skyfox here. Let's take a live look from there, giving you guys all of the shots and looks at all of the festivities and fun that we have.
Hearing the name Green Day, you're fired up. You're getting nostalgic. Charlie's getting nostalgic with the thoughts of Green Day here.
I believe it was 1994. I think I can say the CD was called Dookie. That was the first CD I ever purchased as a kid with my paper out money. The Toledo Blade delivered that paper, and Green Day, the first CD I ever purchased. So I love doing the show with you for all the Nexstar affiliates.
Clearly.
But I would love also to be able to see Green Day, of course. They'll do a fantastic job downtown St. Louis.
Shout out to Toledo, Glass City, Frog City. What else is it?
Frogtown, USA.
Frogtown,
Glass
USA.
City.
Toledo. A lot of fun, a lot of storylines that matter to players, like playing in the All-Star Game. And then there's some fun stuff that's down the road. Jordan Binnington, who came out of nowhere, Blues goalie last season, ends up winning the Stanley Cup, gets a big contract. Jake Allen becomes his backup. Jordan Binnington is a household name really now in the hockey world. He was in the minors a little over a year ago, and now he's an all-star. But there's another story going on. He sort of challenged Justin Bieber on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and Bieber was joking about hockey, and Binnington said, hey, let's do this. Let's have a challenge. They're actually going to do it and raise some money. Bieber trying to score goals on Jordan Binnington.
I saw his videos he posted playing hockey, and just came to me, and so I threw it out there and just waited, and then it eventually came back. It's really escalated a lot, and it's cool. I think it's for a great cause. Bringing in charity, that's a great move by him. And I heard through the grapevine that he's working on his skills, so I'm gonna have to do the same with him. Anything can happen, you know. It could fan on a shot or something, or he could maybe he's working hard and he pulls through. So you know, I think maybe have the weight of North American hockey fans on my back that I have to deal with, but it's all good. It's all in good fun and for a good cause. So I'm looking forward to meeting him.
NHL skills competition, Jordan Binnington, you'll see him on the ice taking on the breakaways. We got a lot of fun events here. Hardest slapshot. I think Al McInnes, who held that title for a long time, he's going with Shea Weber of Montreal. So the skills competition tonight, All-Star game on Saturday here at Enterprise Center. And remember the format, you have the 4 divisions, they square off, 2 advance, and then they'll play that third period. And there is $1 million on the line, 10 players per team, so $100,000 to the winning player. Jordan Binnington also told us because there's money on the line, he's taking this thing seriously. A reminder, Stars of the Ice, we're going to do this. You want to do this again tomorrow?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You didn't. I think
I'm in. Let's do this.
All right.
I'm excited.
I couldn't tell if he was excited or not.
Very
okay?
excited.
4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern, and if you want to get online, Fox 2, fox2now.com. You can find Charlie or Martin if you got a question or maybe a storyline you want us to run down. Find us, shoot us an email. We'll be back at it. Make this as interactive as possible.
Tweet at us.
Tweet at us. Charlie Marlowe, Martin Kilcoyne, Stars of the Ice. We're not. We're here for it at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Look forward to talking to you again on Saturday.